Introverts, how did you meet your girlfriend? I'm girl, but met my fiance online. We only messaged back and forth like 2 times before he suggested meeting. Good, because his conversation skills are definitely lacking. I would have lost interest if it went on too long. But we got along great when we did stuff. Also, for the first date, I'm pretty sure he was going through a mental list of questions the internet told him to ask. And for those lamenting the response rate of girls online, message something specific to her and/or ask her a question. I answered at least 95% of the messages I got where the guy seemed genuinely interested in me and not just a girl. I answered only 5% of the messages that were generic. And I only answered those 5% if they were both hot and successful. Why hello there sexy doctor. I definitely don't mind that your entire message consisted of hey girl. I was given a picture and little details of a mark which I had 72 hours to terminate. I accepted, no questions asked as usual. I proceeded to do the job only this time. The target was this beautiful woman with blue eyes and long brown hair. I followed her as usual, planned out how I was going to go about it. 56 hours later, at 3 AM, I climb up onto her balcony, get inside, walk into the room she's sleeping in and point the gun at her, only for her to say I've been expecting you Mr. Bond. Then we fucked for what felt like hours and this story is all a lie. There are always people I don't have to put myself out there too much to meet. One was a co-worker who contacted me after I quit, one asked a mutual friend to introduce us, one was a friend of a friend I ran into at a bar, things like that. I usually never make any kind of first move. Most recently was sadly the closest thing to taking the initiative. She was a friend of a friend I kind of knew in college and I didn't know was living in the same city as me a few years later. When our mutual friend came to visit me, we passed a bar my future ex worked at and we went in for a drink and saw her briefly. A few months later I was out with some co-workers and we were in the neighborhood and suggested that bar, not even thinking she had any interest in me. She had just finished her shift, so we talked a while as I blew off the guys I went with. I was so smooth I left without getting her number after suggesting we should hang out sometime. She ended up finding me on Facebook and I invited to hang out with my friends the next weekend. It's funny this was posted. I was just thinking yesterday, as I often do when I'm single, how the hell I've managed to meet women when I'm always too shy to say anything. I met her in high school. Got sat next to her. Few years later we met again through a close friend of both of us and she started talking to me. Receptionist at my gym, I asked her on a date and she said yes. Turned out she had been wanting to ask me out as well, coming up on 11 months soon. Smile. My fiancé is a huge introvert. We were in Sea Cadets together in 2006. I was 13, he was 14. One Sunday we had a drill practice and later that night he had added me on MSN and we chatted before asking me out. We've been together ever since and planning a wedding. I was born with my hands. I have a girlfriend. Theory and Techniques of Acting 2 class. She was in the first class, but they were a combined class, which never made any sense to me since we literally do the same thing together. We were needing to pair up with someone for some group work, since everyone before joining that class seemed to already know everyone else. They all paired up and it was down to her, me, and this one guy who just isn't any good at anything really. I nodded, like sup? Not like m'lady, and she came to me. We worked pretty well together and then decided to go to another friend's, from class, stand-up comedy show he was doing, and it ended up as a date. Been together ever since. And no matter how hard I hide, I can't seem to shake her. He met me online. She was a bartender, I was an alcoholic. I'm now sober and we have 2 sons. At work, she worked there also. I was having lunch with my dad at my work and she comes up to me and slides me her number on a piece of paper and says call me. My dad just looked at me with proud eyes like I had just won the lottery. I did. That was 17 years ago. We have been married 11 years. I'm the extroverted girlfriend and he's the introvert. We had a class together and I approached him since he had the best grade in the class and I was having trouble. I remember he had the best smile but was really shy. We exchanged numbers but I texted him first. A few days later we met up to study for an upcoming exam. We have been inseparable since. That was 17 months ago. Go on OkCupid, search for girls who like anime or Reddit. Met in the game Natural Selection, HL1 mod. Can't remember how, but there were childish jokes about aliens fucking. 14 years later. I'm not really introverted, but I've had severe anxiety in my past that's made me withdraw from society for extended periods of time. I met my girlfriend, who is an introvert, during one of these periods. She's the sister of my best guy friend. I'd interacted with her in group chats on Facebook a few times over the years, and even still honestly wouldn't have minded if we'd never met in person. Well, I finally did meet her one day, having known her brother for 9 years already, and from then on I had one hell of a crush on her. Fortunately they're very different characters. So, she was the most ridiculously cute thing I'd seen in my life. I kept it to myself for a while, but it turned out she'd been similarly crushing on me for a little while too, and now here we are. 313 days and counting, and I do count them because I feel so incredibly lucky to have her. For all you know, your soulmate could already be a part of your social network too. TL, Doctor, she's a mate's sister. My boyfriend is a major introvert, way more so than me, with very little relationship experience. I met him online. I sent him a message first and he is the only guy I ever contacted first on a dating site. He lived across the country, but we really hit it off through email and Skype. Almost 6 years later we are happily living together. A place where my kind is gathered together to share, amazing. We liked each other in middle school and after a few years she hit me up on FB Messenger. Messages turned into video chats and I eventually told her I had feelings for her. Terrifying, I know. She came over to me in a coffee shop while she was on vacation in my country, to ask how to tip. We had a 2-hour conversation, and then an amazing 5-hour lunch 2 days later. She complained about her hostel and I offered her my spare bedroom. She accepted. Nothing happened, although it seems crystal clear in retrospect that we were falling for each other, duh. I didn't want to be douchey and make her feel uncomfortable under my roof, so putting the moves on her was not something I seriously considered. 2 nights later, I had to be gone for most of the night, on a work assignment, and I asked if she would please watch and walk my dog in my absence. I came home at 5 a.m. and was greeted by my suddenly very soft, very fluffy dog. She had somehow understood "will you please wash my dog," and apparently didn't find that a strange request at all. The next evening, after we'd been talking over a bottle of wine for hours, it seems she'd had enough of my apparent indecisiveness, took the wine glass out of my hand, put it down, and leaned in for a kiss. That was 26 years ago. We've been married 23 years. Edit, thanks so much for the gold, kind stranger. Tinder. We're married now. Met my wife walking down the street to the gas station. She was in the back of a pickup, started yelling at me. Something clicked in me, I hollered back. My significant other and I are both varying degrees of introverts. I would say I'm the more outgoing of the two if you were to assign us. We met in our high school band, insert band joke here. One day I just started hanging out with her between rehearsals and she never told me to leave. Fast forward 10 years and we are engaged to be married. It's great because we both don't need to constantly talk to each other in order to be happy. We can just keep each other company and everything else works out great. Usually we read, watch movies, or take our dog on a walk. It's quite amusing when we do have in-depth conversations because we are actually quite different with our opinions, affiliations, and favorite sports teams. Never a dull moment, that's for sure. We are two halves that make each other whole. Sidebar, I will say it's difficult as an introvert adult to find new friends and maintain existing relationships, but sometimes you just need to step out of your comfort zone. The worst thing an introvert can do is nothing at all during an opportune moment. Be comfortable with being uncomfortable. I wish I learned that earlier in life, but it has helped me be successful in an office environment full of extroverts. Neither introverts or extroverts are better. We all have qualities that make us great. Introverts are known for analyzing, listening, and waiting for the right moment. Use that to your advantage and you will go far in life.